Hello, I'm Lorraine from Waggle Woods, and I'm with a very special man today. I'm with Nigel Bell, who's Emeritus Professor of Environmental Pollution at Imperial College, London.
And the evidence is very strong that over the world warming is taking place.
And we can see that in the melting ice caps, the polar ice caps.
Yes, I read today that I think it was the French glaciers had lost, I can't remember, it's 40% of their cover in the last 30 years or so. I can't remember the exact figures, but it's very large. You're seeing retreating glaciers pretty well everywhere, and you're seeing, of course, as they melt, you're seeing rising sea level, and that is worrying because we're getting more extreme weather, which is probably associated with the climate change, like more hurricanes, more flooding, and I mean, a nice example is the London Barrier, the Thames Barrier put on to protect London from flooding, which was opened about 1984, 83. And as I remember it, it was originally designed to be closed about 3 times a year, and I think it's usually closed between 40 and 50 times a year now, which does indicate that sea level is rising.
Goodness.
And this is worrying because most of the world's major cities are on the coast. You know, think about it, New York, Rio, London, many cities are coastal. So obviously they're threatened by that. Climate change can also impact on agriculture. Now, in our country it might actually be beneficial because we can grow things much further north than we used to be able to. We can now make wine commercially as far as north as Edinburgh.
Goodness.
That vines can be grown commercially, and I think in Devon there's even a commercial olive grove now.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
it seems amazing.
Yes, so there are advantages.
Well, that would be advantages, but at the same time, of course, if you go further south, what you'll see in southern Europe, on the edge of the Sahara, is you'll see increasing desertification, because those places are getting hotter and drier. So there can be advantages, but agriculture, you may be able to adapt to it, because wild plants and animals can't. And some people are sceptical about climate change, but as an ecologist, I believe plants and animals far more than I do measurements by scientists of temperature. And all the indicators point towards a longer growing season, warmer climate. We're seeing birds nesting earlier, the breeding season's extending, crop season is extending, flowers are coming out much earlier than they used to. I mean, it's normal in the south of England for daffodils now to be out by early February. Well, I can remember when I used to take your fellow students on field trips and we'd cross the road between Hyde Park and Kensington Gardens, that the daffodils wouldn't be out when we went up, which was mid-March, and a week later when we came back they'd all be in flower. So there are many indicators like that.
Yeah.
And the number of days that you can ski in Scotland is reducing progressively. And interestingly, many industries have opposed the idea of climate change, but some are very worried, and one of the most worried is the insurance industry.
Of course,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And perhaps the saddest thing is there will probably be a number of countries, whole sovereign states, which will disappear under the waves.
Some of the Pacific Islands.
Some of the Pacific Islands are very, very low lying. They're just coral reefs, really. And the Maldives, particularly so. I mean, the Prime Minister of the Maldives held a cabinet meeting underneath the water not long ago. You might have read about that.
Goodness, yes.
A publicity stunt.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's got big cause too.
Yes.
Thank you.